Welcome to welcome to the QuickTime Event Podcast, episode 105. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my partner in crime, John.
Welcome back. Wear a mask.
QuickTime Event is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. If you like what you hear, you can find us live on twitch.tv/CDRMagnus every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or on all of your favorite podcast services all across the internet shortly after the live show ends, including YouTube, Spotify, Pocket Casts, iTunes, Google Play,
The one that always
Hamdingers.
gets me is Pocket Cast. That's real, right?
It is real, yes. That's a real one. Hamdingers,
That's the one
no.
that's the one that I'm always like, pretty sure it's real, but I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah.
All right. It's been like
It's been a couple
decade.
months. No.
It's
been a decade.
The world has changed.
That's correct. Yes. That has indeed happened, yeah. So what you been up to?
Oh, so many things.
Start from the
I don't-
beginning.
I don't know where the beginning is anymore. That's the problem.
Suddenly, I was awake.
Yeah, I guess. The thing that gets even more confusing is that you and I have played Overwatch periodically, and we've discussed things that we've been doing, but I don't know where the overlap is for what we've talked about on the podcast versus
the last time we podcasted, it was Bunny Day. That was the last podcast, was the eggs finally ended.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Hatred for Animal Crossing does ring a bell.
Yes.
Hatred for that holiday in Animal Crossing rings a bell, rather.
Yeah.
I finally got all the bones in Animal Crossing.
Did you eat all the bones?
I did eat all the bones.
He ate the bones.
Did you miss us?
I hope so.
And yeah, I have a lot less motivation to check on my town now.
Yeah.
Because before it was like, okay, I have a chance to look at 4 or 5 new fossils. Now I just have to hope that Red is coming to town, and I don't check. So Animal Crossing is essentially done for me for now, and I'll log back on like the first day or two of each month to try to get the new fish and stuff like that, but that's about it. I beat Fire Emblem. No idea if we talked about that before.
We did not.
Fun game. I see why there was so much outrage and why people said it was snuffed at the Game Awards.
I don't understand. I really don't.
It definitely, regardless, like you said, regardless of if you enjoy Fire Emblem or if it's your first time with the franchise, it was a very fun game. Even, I mean, this was my first like grid combat style game that I can really remember doing.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Even if the whole idea of like strategy doesn't appeal to you,
you don't need to use strategy.
No.
If you play on the easier settings, you can just have fun.
Yeah.
Even if you play in the harder settings, you can reset time. Like,
it's true. Yeah. This game, from my understanding, previous iterations of Fire Emblem were nowhere near this forgiving. I think they tried to make this one as accessible as possible.
Sure.
For people to get in there and have it be their first Fire Emblem game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, even if like the idea of like the grid turns you off, or if you don't like strategy games, don't let that hold you back. If you have if you have seen the characters and you're like, they look like interesting characters, or if you like a good fantasy story,
they all have
story,
pretty wild hair, so like,
yeah, there's someone that appeals to you. There's someone you'll latch onto. It's definitely worth picking it up. If you have a Switch, I still maintain if you have a Nintendo Switch, this is a must-play game for you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to, if you're one of those people who's like, I need my money's worth, you're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
Regardless of the route you play, it's going to take you over 60 hours, I'd say.
Yeah. What was your final time?
Oh God, I don't even remember. I think it was somewhere in the 70s.
Yeah, mine was, I think, upper 60s. So that sounds about right.
I think mine was low 70s, but like one or two times whenever I was playing, I had to like go do something and I didn't shut it off. I just kind of let it sit. So there's probably a couple hours of just fluff built in there. But either way, very long, not in a bad way, but very long game. And there's apparently like 3 or 4 more stories if I really want to delve back in.
Yep. Yeah, because each route is so much different than the others. I mean, like they
That said, I
touch on
probably won't
similar
ever do
stuff.
it because
Right, exactly.
I like the route I picked, and like I think we've talked about this before, that you and I are the people who like I don't want to do a second playthrough where I have to like make the bad guy choices.
Yes.
Like it just doesn't feel right.
Now it's like I make the same decision. I've played Persona 5 like 6 times now, and I made the same decision every single time. It's like Mass Effect. I think no, because I played Mass Effect 1. I've talked about this several times on this podcast. I played Mass Effect 1 on the 360, I think. And I started to go back because you have to play that game like 4 times to get every achievement for it. And
That's so irritating.
One of the achievements is to get Max Renegade, and the other one is to get Max Paragon. So you have to do
Paladin.
You have to make the bad decisions in one playthrough, but I never finished that playthrough. I like started that one, and I got to like the second. It's like you get to the Citadel and you punch that reporter in the face, and it's like, well, I don't know that I feel good about doing this, so I'm just not going to.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I go back and play Fire Emblem, I want to play Crimson Flower again. I don't want to play,
Yeah, no, I don't want to play Verdant Wind or Azure Plains or whatever these things are. I know what I like.
Yeah.
My opinion was formulated throughout my playthrough. The cases all presented themselves. I'm not just going to have a change of heart.
Yeah. I have friends that have went back and like, so they've played all 4 routes, but then they play the route that they like best like 3 more times. I have someone that I think has played the game like 8 or 9 times now.
That's a lot. I mean, kudos,
so
but also why?
I don't know. It wasn't that good. It wasn't. I mean, it was good. It wasn't that good.
I will give one warning. If you do plan on playing this game and you're going in pretty blind, and if this is spoilery, then just bleep me out or something. If you have the time and the resources, recruit everybody that you don't hate. If there's people that you're just like, they exist, they're fine, you should recruit them.
Yeah.
Just for reasons.
It's hard to do it in that first playthrough, though, because it's hard to max up the stats that you need to be able to recruit everybody that you want.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is true or not, but like, there were characters that I recruited, and I think it was purely because I gave them a bunch of gifts.
Yeah,
like whenever we got, I gave like 2 or 3 characters a bunch of gifts because one of them was Marianne. Marianne just looked so sad, and I was like, "You need a present right now."
Yeah.
So I would give her stuff, and she'd still be so gloomy, and I was like, "Oh, Marianne, I know that what I'm doing is having no actual effect, but like, come on." And then later she was like, she approached me, like whenever it went to the calendar or whatever, and it was like, "Hey, Marianne wants to join your house." I was like, I have like no faith skill. Why do you want to join?
I think it is because you gave her enough gifts.
You can bribe.
My
bribe the students.
My biggest issue with that Fire Emblem game was that it doesn't tell you outright anywhere. Like there are no tutorials or anything about like the back end systems that determine your affinity with like these other characters.
Yeah.
I think I do know that if you rank up like your bond, I forget what it's called, your support, I guess, with another character.
They were called supports.
Yeah, so if you rank up your support enough, That's not right. Not the support. Maybe it is. I don't know. If you become friendlier with a character,
If you
the
get them like
requirements
in the upper C, like maybe close to B territory.
right, the requirements for that character go down. So like if you
Yes.
needed to be like an A in swordsmanship to get whoever, if you ranked their support up far enough, they would require less of that stat to join you.
You're bribing them
Right. So I
to
think what
lower their
happened
standards.
I think what happened with Marianne was that you bribed her enough that she no longer cared about your faith
Yeah.
stat or whatever.
She was like, "Oh, you have an E in faith, the literal base. Good enough for me."
yeah.
Sup, teach?
Yep. Yeah. And then the back end system that determines the relationships between the other characters. At the end of the game, like they go and they tell you who got married off to who and what everyone did basically at the conclusion of the story. You have influence over how those events play out, but it's very muddled on how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I certainly, and we talked about this when we were playing Overwatch at one point, but there were people who ended up together that I was like, no, that is wrong.
That's not what happened in my head.
You did not listen to your professor because professor would have not allowed this at all. But whatever. So yeah, Fire Emblem, very fun. Definitely play it if you have a Switch. I played Donut County, and I can't remember if we talked about that on the podcast or not. That was stupid fun. Like it was just the purest form of fun, where I didn't have to think. I just had to read some funny words and eat everything. It was great. Loved
Did you
it.
play on Switch or on phone?
I played it on Switch. I can see how it would have been a pretty easy game to play on a phone though. What else have I played? I played Horizon. I finally played your game of the year from 2016, 2017.
Yeah,
one of those years.
Did you beat it yet?
Yeah. So I beat the game. I'm really annoyed because I have 99% completion. I'm really unsure what that 1% is.
Oh, really? You can't figure it out?
I'm not sure because like I finished all the missions. And like that's including errands and side missions and cauldrons and like every single thing that's under your quest like tab or whatever it is in the menu is complete. Except for the last quest because I beat it and then it just brings you back to right before.
Right.
So I don't know what that it's literally 99.00%.
You know what it is? Do you have all the trophies?
I'm missing 2.
What are they?
One of them's a secret and I gotta cross reference and see what it is. Because I generally don't read all the trophies before going into a game. The other one is finding all those stupid training dummies and knocking them down.
I was gonna ask you about the training dummy one because I think that was the very last trophy I ended up getting.
Yeah, I was pissed whenever I did look at the trophy list and saw that because like I realized that after I was leaving Nora territory. Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? All these things that I've been seeing, I should have been knocking over.
Yeah, that was the very last one that I got. I'm pretty confident that if you finish those 2 trophies that you should have 100%.
Okay. And then I have 92 point something in the Frozen Wilds. I am honestly kind of intimidated by so I beat it. And I've finished everything except for there's those like combat challenge trophies, you know?
In the Frozen Wilds?
Yeah, so the Frozen Wilds, it splits it up into like here's the story and quests and like the meat and potatoes of the game, I guess. And then here's these like defeat 6 of this enemy, get 5 dismount kills or whatever. Like they're just combat linked things, and they're 2 separate trophy lists. So I have a bunch of trophies to do on that, but like the only main thing that I'm missing from the Frozen Wilds at this point is the hunting grounds. and those challenges are very scary. The chieftain one is just like, no, can I not?
What do you have to do for that one?
Please.
I don't remember any of it. I played this, like, what, 3 years
The
ago?
3 big new machines, you have to kill multiple of them. And none of them are easy. Like, honestly, fighting them makes fighting a Thunderjaw, the giant thing, seem like a piece of cake. Because the Thunderjaw, like, every machine up to this point has had a pretty easily exploitable weakness. These ones don't. These ones, it's just like, no, you're just gonna have to just grind it out and slowly whittle down their health. Because even if you like explode the canisters that are affected by different elements, that only takes them down to like half their health. And then you're just SOL, I guess.
I kind of want to go back and play this game again. Probably,
Horizon?
Yeah. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get to it or when I would do that.
Sure.
But it is something that I think about sometimes.
I mean, it's fun. I can see why. Otherwise, I've been playing Dark Souls 3. I think I might have been playing that last time we had talked. And I've watched a whole bunch of TV and anime.
Any
Haikyuu.
good ones?
Never thought I'd care about high school volleyball, but here we are.
Those sports animes just get to you somehow. I mean, I personally have not had that experience, but I know a ton of. I mean, Haikyuu is really famous, but there's there's that one. I think there's a swimming anime that people like. I can't remember what that is. I think there's a volleyball one. There's one about
volleyball is
ice
Haikyuu.
Skaters. Oh, basketball rather. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is funny though, because like I think I've talked on the podcast about this, but I'll work out while watching these shows. Like that's my rule. I can't just be lazy. I have to like actually do something. And I've noticed that while I'm biking, I was averaging like between 7 and 8, sometimes even 9 kilometers per like episode in Haikyuu. And now I'm watching a very emotional show called Violet Evergarden.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm getting to like 6, maybe 7 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I didn't think that the show was affecting, like what I was watching was affecting how hard I was going, but apparently it has been.
You gotta watch the shonen anime. That's what gets you. That's what gets you.
Yeah, get you hyped up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been everything I've been doing. How about you?
So in the last podcast we did, it was like a day before Persona 5 Royal came out.
Oh my god, seriously?
Yeah, that was like the last one. It was like
March
31st or something like that. So I played and beat Persona 5 Royal. That took me a long time. My first playthrough of Persona 5 I think took a month. Persona 5 Royal took me about a month and a half. Granted, different places in life, like just general depression about the state of the world. This was like basically my 7th time playing it, so it wasn't like I was rushing to like everything I was experiencing was new and exciting.
Yeah. You weren't inspired to
exactly right.
Hey, I'm gonna get up an hour before work and just crank an hour of Persona out.
Yeah, but it's definitely the definitive vision of Persona 5. I had a lot of worry before it came out that it was going to ruin my experience with Persona 5 by like introducing plot points that didn't resolve the way that I would have wanted them to.
Yeah.
And that didn't really happen.
That's good.
There's very little new stuff before December, really January.
Most of the game.
Yeah, really the only new content comes in the new semester, which starts in January. There are some new events and like some smaller things that happened before that, but really the game, I would have much rather if it had been like DLC. I understand why they didn't do it, because the events that happened before January make you care more about January, so it would have had to have been a major update to the entire game. So I understand why they didn't just release this as like DLC and they chose to go this way. Also money, but
Well, yes.
it didn't ruin my experience with Persona 5.
That's good.
The way that they handled the major character in question was done in a way that respected his arc in the first game.
I think I know who you're talking about then.
Yeah, and the two new characters that they introduced both they felt deserved. My biggest complaint with it is the new final boss. While the new final boss, like his actual like battle sequence is, I think, better than the original Persona 5 final boss. It had the same kind of feel to me that, fuck, what game was it? I can't remember now. It doesn't feel as important. Like the end of Persona 5, that battle feels way more important than the one you have.
Yeah, that feels like the penultimate battle. Like the point, everything was leading up to that.
Yes. The way that the new semester plays out without spoiling anything is that it's not necessarily a greater enemy that you face. It's just someone that was like trying to capitalize off of the situation that happened before.
So it was somebody in the background like pulling the strings that isn't really super powerful, but they were just taking advantage of everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So in my eyes, the final boss of Persona 5, the original vanilla Persona 5, is still the final boss of the game. This one is just like an extra thing, which is basically what the new semester is anyway.
I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but like, is the final boss of Persona 5 vanilla in Royal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Literally nothing is different until Christmas Eve. So once you, and by Christmas Eve, I mean after the final boss fight. So you fight through all of Persona 5, you beat the final boss, and then as soon as you beat the final boss and you like are going on your way home, that's when things change and it's new again.
Okay.
But everything before that is the same.
Yeah, that is a little frustrating that they made you shell out at least, well, I mean, it went on sale immediately, so like at least $40 to buy it.
Yeah, at least.
That was really weird. It came out and then PlayStation was like, "Hey, you can have it for $45 instead of $60." I know it just came out a week ago, but here you go.
Yeah. And again, I understand why, because they had to incorporate those two new characters from the get-go. Yeah. And it's not like you're with them the entire game. There's enough new stuff that you see them like every few days or every week or whatever. It's just like nothing drastically different happens in the main story.
Okay.
So yeah, Persona 5 Royal is definitely the definitive version of the game. If you're going to play Persona 5, play Persona 5 Royal. Don't worry about playing Persona 5 unless you want to, I guess. Yeah, that was a great game. What did I do since then? There's something in between. I can't remember what it is now. Oh, Final Fantasy. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, okay.
That was the first time I've played I'd never played the original Final Fantasy. Now I'm thinking about going back and playing it, but the remake is great. Just the tangential knowledge I knew about those characters, just because they're so famous, Clouds and Smash Brothers. Like the things that I knew about the game, like I came in not knowing the characters, but again, sort of having a feel for what they were about. So I felt like I attached to them quicker than maybe had I just played the game completely blind.
Okay.
But it's very, very, very good. It's about 30 hours long, I think, if you play it like straight through on a normal-ish difficulty. The battle system is great. I've not really played a Final Fantasy game with the modern like active time battle system, but it feels great to play. It's very fun. The story's great. I feel like even though it's only like the first third of the game or whatever, like the original Final Fantasy VII, um, it still feels like a complete game. It doesn't feel like a chapter one. I guess it is a chapter one, but it feels like uh like a Fellowship of the Ring chapter one, not
Sure,
like a
yeah.
Wolf Among
It
Us
can
chapter one.
it can hold its own, and like
Exactly.
you feel like you're playing a game as part of a trilogy, but like you're not robbed of one full experience.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I really like the four main characters of that game.
Sure.
Plus, the world's really cool. Just like the kind of post-apocalyptic, just capitalist hellscape that they live in is
Mm,
really fun, especially in the current climate. Like it's a really good juxtaposition of like real life and
yeah.
what that could theoretically be like if there was magic that ran through the planet.
Oh my god, if there was
Yeah.
just the earth would blow up, I think.
That's a great game though. If you have never played Final Fantasy VII, even if you don't like Final Fantasy, because again, I've not played a Final Fantasy game since 9 really. Played a little bit of 10, but it was a good game to play. If you just want to like hack and slash something, beat up some monsters, throw some spells around, uh, give it a try.
All right.
After that, I tried to play that game I had been talking about forever, Kentucky Route Zero.
Yeah.
I
Didn't you tweet about it?
I did. I played it. I platinumed it. It's not a very long game. It's maybe 10 hours long. It's all text based. There's no voice dialogue. It's literally like an old. Have you ever played or seen like text based RPGs like from like the 80s that were played on like
I think so.
a green, whatever the green and just like the green and black computer screens were?
The grid.
The grid thing. Yeah. It's a text based RPG. That's basically what this game was with like obviously there was visuals. So it wasn't
Yeah.
just text, but all of everything you did was in a command prompt basically. I have no idea what the fucking game was about. It was 10 hours long. I'm sure it has like this deep philosophical meaning to it. I even tried to read up on like what the
point
developers were trying to get at, and I guess a lot of it was like based off of the 2008 recession and like the just like the state of like poor people coming out of the 2008 recession, like their
Sure.
mind view of how the world works and just like their general sense of dissatisfaction with life and that kind of thing. And like I get it. Like if I really look hard enough, I get it. But me playing through that game, it just flew completely over my head. Like
All right.
to the point where like I was just the entire time I was reading this text and it's like it's just what the fuck is why? What is this about? What are we doing? Like what is the point of any of this? The one thing I will say about it, like, is again somebody that had no idea what was going on. It nailed atmospheric storytelling. So we talk about environmental storytelling sometimes.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like atmospheric, like the way that there's not very much audio. Sometimes there's music, but the way that they use that limited audio and music in the game, it can be just like so surreal.
Hmm.
It's a really interesting experience.
It makes me want to try it, but at the same time, I don't
You
know.
have to go
10
into it.
hours and not no like comprehensive story.
My thing, I mean, there is like a very basic story that you can kind of understand. It's just like
hmm.
at the end of it, none of it is explained. So if you were like just following that basic story, like I kind of was, without attempting to look for
Not
more
trying
meaning,
to like read between the lines at every
yeah,
single
but
thing.
it's not even like you have to read between the lines. It's more like you have to like explicate it, like how you would tackle Moby Dick. You would have to do that to this game to like get. I feel like your fill out of it.
Sure.
I think you might be somebody who might get something out of it because I know that you like to go to art museums,
I do.
and
love
I
art
assume
museums.
that you like expressionist art and like modern art that maybe isn't like the Mona Lisa.
Oh, for sure.
maybe.
There are some art pieces. I mean, there's some modern art where it's like, okay, it's 4 squares and they're different. They're different colors.
Yeah.
I don't. This one's not speaking to me, pal. But then I'll see another one and I'll be like, okay, I feel this. I feel the energy coming off
You
this
might
thing.
get something out of this game. You might. I can't promise it. But if you go into it with the mindset of I'm going into a modern art exhibit at a museum, you might get something out of it.
Okay. It was Kentucky Route Zero, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Alrighty.
So I did that. And then I started Persona Q on the 2DS, the 3DS family of systems. That's been good so far. Very charming. It's basically just fan service. Can't really say
Makes
too much
sense.
about it. It's not like it's a game that like blows you away, but it's more of the characters that I love. So
Sure. That's all you need sometimes.
yeah. So Persona Q is the Persona 3 and the Persona 4 cast together. Hijinks ensue. So I've been doing that. And then last Friday, The Last of Us Part 2 came out.
Yeah, everyone. The internet's kind of blown up about that, hasn't it?
Yes, but it's
In a really weird way.
yeah. So I was not spoiled on the game going into it. So I know that like a month ago or so, maybe a month and a half ago, there's a huge leak of spoilers, quote unquote spoilers. Some of those spoilers were legit, some of them were not. I
Okay.
somehow dodged all of them, so I didn't see any of those.
Nice.
But a lot of people prejudged this game on those spoilers before they ever got it or attempted
Is
to
that
play
why
it.
the like user rating
Yes.
is that like God, it's real low. It's in the
It's like
40s,
a 3
right?
point. It's well, it's
like
probably gone up because I know.
It's in the 40%, like the 40th percentile.
Yeah, Metacritic
I
has
think.
it when it first, like last Friday, Metacritic for the user reviews was sitting at like a 3.3, while the critic scores were at like 96.
Yeah.
A lot of that is because it's been review bombed, both by bigots because there are LGBTQ themes throughout the entire game, and
okay.
by people who just were never going to play this game and were pissed about the spoilers that they read that may or may not have even been true. And now since Friday, there are a bunch of justifications coming out about why people are saying they don't like this game. Like, oh, the story sucks, or the characters make decisions that that character would ever make that decision. I'm very close to the end of the game. Those people, I don't know what the hell they're smoking. I don't understand it. Like, okay, you can take what I say, I guess, with a grain of salt, because I love Sony Worldwide Studios. Those games speak to me, I guess. I love all the games they've made. I just, from a storytelling perspective, I don't know that I've ever seen a studio do this before. And I can't talk about what that is without heavily spoiling everything about The Last of Us Part 2. But
Sure.
I think that the main issue that people have with this game is that Naughty Dog didn't do what people wanted Naughty Dog to do from a story perspective. And that's not their decision. Like, this is Naughty Dog's story. They're the one that are telling it. And these people, I think, that are saying they don't like the story, is what they're really saying is, oh, I don't like this one decision that you made that is basically, and not even basically, it is the basis for this entire game.
Nope, ruined the game.
And it's a dumb spoiler because it's something that happens literally 2 hours into the game, a 30-hour game, by the way. But I don't want to spoil it because the way that it happens right at the beginning of the game it's just jaw-dropping. Like so the entire game is, if you're squeamish, if you're somebody that doesn't like violence, this game has a lot of it. There was a lot of concern before the game came out about it being like torture porn. It is not that. I think Naughty Dog did a really good job of balancing that and making it feel important the way that they told the story. But yeah, all of the critics, all of the the general public people that are criticizing this game for especially story elements and character elements, I just don't buy into. I guess that they're valid opinions, and if you hold those opinions, that's fine that you do. I vehemently disagree with you.
You're just wrong.
It's definitely the best Naughty Dog game that Naughty Dog's ever made. It's definitely the best game that Naughty Dog's ever made. Because of the way they were able to tell the story from a structure standpoint and the way they were able to influence how at least I, and I guess most professional critics, how they were able to influence our opinions of a certain character that I can't talk about because literally this entire game is based off of a huge spoiler that happens in like the second chapter. So there's like, it's really hard to say anything.
All right. Fair enough.
But if you, yeah, it's a really good game.
Still need to play the first one.
Yeah. I think that's been it.
That's been it for us. Boy, oh boy, though, did we miss a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I have on the show doc is we're not going to talk about all of this.
That's good because that is overwhelming.
No, what I did was I watched the PlayStation 5 reveal event that was 2 weeks ago now. And
sounds right.
Literally every game that was on that event I put in here, and I've since deleted some of those that I didn't really care about. But I thought we could just maybe start talking about the major stories from the last month or so during this.
Sure.
Definitely not E3 time.
Yeah, and hey, we still have to make announcements somehow.
Yeah. So the first big event was the PlayStation 5 reveal event where they revealed the PlayStation 5, which I was not.
Yeah, they surpassed your expectations.
Yeah, I was not expecting them to show the console. It wasn't like I was thinking they weren't going to do it, but I kind of thought just from the way they were marketing it before they canceled it was, hey, this is going to be all about our games.
Yeah. No hardware, just games.
Yeah, because they said somewhere in there, these are the games you are going to be playing on the PlayStation 5. After this event, there's still going to be a lot that we have left to tell you, is basically what their press briefing was for the event. Then they canceled the event due to all of the Black Lives Matter protests. And then they did the event 2 weeks later or whatever. And they ended up revealing the console. So I don't know if I doubt that was a change they made in those 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think that they were like, hey, we've had 2 more weeks. Let's add something to the presentation that they didn't see in the first place.
But yeah, I guess let me just start with the way the console looks. I don't hate it. I think it's definitely the most
it is very unique.
Yeah, it's the most it's the most different console out there. I can't think of another console that like looked that, like the other two that come to mind are the Dreamcast and the GameCube.
Yeah.
Being like different looking console. Everything else has just basically been a box or like a flat thing.
Like a tablet of some kind.
Yeah. I did like all of the memes about the router and the refrigerator for the next gen console design.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call them. Sleepy.
It's big.
It is huge.
That thing is huge.
I felt
didn't realize how big it was until people like dug in and they were like, "Hey, we have technology. We see a USB port. Yeah. We can scale this thing."
Right. When I first saw the console, it was sitting next to. There was like a controller sitting next to it.
Yeah.
And I think I even tweeted like, this console's really small. Just based on how big the controller was.
Yeah, you're like, the controller is for human-sized hands, right?
I'm gonna laugh when this thing comes out and the DualSense is actually like the Duke controller from the original
Yeah.
Xbox.
It's
Just
just
like
enormous.
fucking
It's a brick.
exactly. Yeah, I totally misjudged the size of that thing because then like literally 30 minutes later, Digital Foundry or IGN or somebody put up like a based on the size of the disk drive, they pulled up a bunch of other consoles. This thing
Yeah.
is bigger than the Xbox One, the original
Yeah.
Xbox One.
Which is a brick.
It's huge. And the reason they did it is because they wanted to make it quiet.
Yeah.
The
Which I 100% appreciate because if I don't, so where the PlayStation 4 is in my house, if there's like glass doors that like keep it in the entertainment area, if those aren't open, it starts
it's a jet.
screaming.
Yeah. That's the one thing that the Xbox One has had over the PS4 all generation is just how quiet it is.
Yeah, I took that for granted until recently whenever I like tried closing it and like it was yelling at me to just let it out.
Yeah, it
And
it
then
is.
I turned the Xbox on so we could watch something like later in the day and I was like, "Oh my god. Wait, the doors are closed."
Yeah. It's so quiet compared to the PS4. So I mean honestly, it's going to sit in my entertainment center. It's not like the shape of a console was ever like influenced any decision I've made about it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But if the shape of that means we get a quieter console that doesn't sound like a jet in my living room, that
Please and thank you.
all for it. I don't care if it had like 8 fins and like a fucking like a weird like a what are those sharks called? With the eyes that go like this.
Hammerhead?
Hammerhead shark. Yeah, if like a hammerhead
Yeah.
shark. I don't care. So if it's quiet, fine, great.
What about so you're going to get one?
Yes.
Disk drive or no?
I don't know. So that was a huge reveal that they did, and I think it was either Wario 64. Oh no, you know who it was? It was Jason Schreier tweeted right after the reveal that Sony beat Microsoft to announcing Project Lockhart, which is supposedly the other Xbox Series whatever they're gonna call it, which is a discless Xbox Series X, I guess.
Digital only.
Yeah. I don't know because I have never played a game on my PS4 that required a disc. However, it would be nice to have an ultra high def Blu-ray player.
True.
But am I going to be buying physical Blu-rays ever? The only time in recent memory I've thought about buying Blu-rays is, I don't know if you've seen these on Amazon, but Studio Ghibli is
the steelbooks.
Yeah, the steelbooks for the Ghibli, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just I want these. They look really cool.
That's the thing. Like any anime that I really like, I'll find the Blu-ray for like $30. Granted, it'll be like a 1-season, 24-episode thing, and I'm like, I'll pay $1 per episode. Like that's fine. I want to own this. What if someday I can't stream it for some reason?
Yeah.
Like I'm so ingrained in that worry that like, what if the internet stops working and I desperately need to watch Yu Yu Hakusho? Like, what do I do then?
Yeah, I don't know, but like those Ghibli steelbooks are the only thing I've even thought about, or they've created the only opportunity for me to think about owning a Blu-ray in like the last 10 years, because I've bought everything on iTunes or on Amazon Prime or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. My big thing is I don't know. I own one game physically on PlayStation, and it's Persona 5R or Persona 5 Royal. Is it important to me to be able to play that one? Like, is that one game? Because I have my Xbox One, and if I get the next Xbox and it has super great Blu-ray, whatever, do I want it on both? Like, And then is the disk drive worth it just to play P5R, or do I just buy it digitally? And
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
other thing you have though with the Xbox though is that that's going to be backwards compatible. So you can put supposedly an original Xbox disc into the Series X and be able to play that game.
True.
The PS4 is not going to be able to do that, and it wouldn't matter to me even if it did because I don't have PS1 or PS2 games anymore. I don't know where those went. I should still have them somewhere because I
They're in
doubt
a box locked away.
Probably.
Hey, you know what? I think we had talked about Microsoft doing this forever ago, and I don't think anything ever happened. And it makes me really sad and upset. Didn't they say that they were working on a program that you'd be able to like essentially trade in your old games and get a digital copy? Or was that just a fever dream I had?
I feel like that does sound familiar. I don't
And they were
think
like, you can only do it at Xbox or like at Microsoft stores. This is something you can't just bring to your GameStop or whatever. Like, we will take all of your old games. There are certain old games and essentially give you a code so you can just clear out your physical media if you don't want it.
That sounds really familiar. It might have just been something that we were like, hey, they should do this or something, but I feel like it was more than that.
I mean, if it was something that was just a brainchild of us, why aren't they doing it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know how happy I would be if I could just clear out, especially my 360 games? Like, I've got, I don't know, 40 games just sitting there that I can't bring myself to get rid of because, like, I don't want to buy them again, even if they're ridiculously cheap. But what if I want to play it?
Yeah. I think before our next podcast, I'm going to go onto my library on PS4 and see how many cases I would own if I was
if you bought physical
only person. Now, there are going to be a lot of games on there that don't have it because a lot of them are downloadable only games that never had a physical release. But I'm going to go through.
You can pretty quickly figure out which ones would have a physical release.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do some homework. Come back next week and figure out how many discs I would own.
Yeah, even if they charged me like, okay, we'll take your old game and for $1 a game plus your physical copy, we'll give you the code for the digital copy. I'd be fine with that. I will give you $40 and all these old games if I can just link them to my digital cloud account and have them, but not physically have them.
Right.
There's a couple I'd probably keep because they're like special editions or like they're in a really nice steelbook. But let me get rid of most of them, please. I don't need all this.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to do the physical or the digital version. I guess it's probably going to depend on price.
True. Has the price come out yet?
No.
Okay.
They're playing chicken. Microsoft and Sony are playing chicken with the price. My guess is it's going to be $5.99 and $4.99 is my guess.
That would make sense.
$5.99 for the disc, $4.99 for the digital only.
Yeah.
Which kind of lines up. I mean, if I looked online and like you can get an ultra high definition Blu-ray player for I think like $150 or something like that.
So yeah, you're paying $100 for a fancy Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
With your PlayStation.
So my guess is going to be $500 and $600. I would not be surprised if Microsoft comes out because I do think the Series X is going to be more expensive. I could see like $650 for the Series X maybe.
I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. They are just slowly making branded PCs.
Right. But I think
that's what this is turning into.
Right. But the Project Lockhart, which if you remember back to when we first started talking or when we first started hearing rumors about this, it was that Lockhart was going to be focused on xCloud. It wasn't even going to have like a hard drive because everything was going to be cloud-based gaming.
Yes.
Now, I don't know whether that's going to still be the case or not, but if it really is just like a machine that does cloud-based gaming and maybe has a small hard drive for a few games or something like that, I would not be surprised if they go like $400 for Lockhart and then like $750 for Series X or something crazy like that.
Sure.
And if that's the case, then I think Sony has to say, well, okay, maybe we should take the discless version down because
try to match it.
Yeah. Because 400
only.
400 to 500 is exactly what PS4 went up against with Xbox One. And in that scenario, Xbox One was PS4 was stronger than the Xbox One. I guess Xbox One came with Kinect, but
Oh, who cares?
So yeah, I think right now, with money not necessarily being like that big of a deterrent, like $100 isn't that much money in the grand scheme of things for me personally in my current life situation. Who knows with COVID what my life situation is going to look like when these come out in 4 months or whatever.
Or how, I mean, with supply chains, like who knows if they're coming out in 4 months.
True.
Maybe we'll have them, but they're going to be stupid hard to find.
Yeah, who knows?
It's going to be the Wii situation all over again.
Yeah. So right now I think I'm probably planning on just getting the disc one just in case I ever find myself with a physical copy of a game or want to buy a high definition Blu-ray or something like
that. That makes sense. I do like the look of the one without the disc drive, though. Yeah. It's like symmetrical and nice and smooth.
Yep.
The other one just has this growth.
The best thing about the PlayStation 5 event, though, was all the games they announced. This is crazy for what they announced in the first... before the thing's even out. Like this... I tweeted about this as well, but this is on par with what the E3 conference was in 2016, where they unveiled God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Shadow of the Colossus Remake, Last Guardian, like all of this stuff that they put out in the middle of the generation, we are getting now before the generation starts. We're talking about stuff that's coming out this fall and in 2021. This is a year and a half into the console, and we already have a new standalone Spider-Man game. We have a
which caused so much confusion.
There was some confusion there.
That man. Following that just hurt my brain. They were like, it's a standalone game. No, it's DLC. No, it's some weird hybrid. No, just kidding. It is a standalone game. Like, so many official sources were contradicting each other.
Yeah, there was... Well, the main issue came from, like, one Sony, not Insomniac. It was some Sony PR person that said it was DLC incorrectly. Yeah. It was always a standalone game. Insomniac said it was similar in size to Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which was also a standalone game that they sold for $40 at ship, and I think it was like 12 hours or so.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're gonna reuse the same New York assets from the original Spider-Man game.
Makes sense. Don't rebuild New York if you've already got it.
Exactly. But it's gonna be that kind of size, and Insomniac actually already released a $40 game this generation that was AAA, with the original reboot of Ratchet and Clank that they did a few years ago. That came out as a $40 AAA game when they launched it. So I would expect $40 for Spider-Man Miles Morales, but yeah, so they did that. We get Spider-Man, get Gran Turismo, which is something you talk about because people like cars. I'm not one of those people.
I never got into it, but that's fine.
You got Ratchet and Clank, which looks great. You get two rare, like, okay, I guess Ratchet and Clank is a PlayStation mascot, but then you get the two mascots from more recent generations with Sackboy. You get a new Sackboy game. You get the Astrobots get a new game, which is going to be, I think, pre-installed on all PS5s, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. The other big games you had in there, you had Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8. It's a new Resident Evil game. You get Horizon Forbidden West to close out the show, which was something...
You're really going to leave out the most important game on this list?
I'm not done yet. Those were the big games. You get two, actually, surprises with third-party publishers putting out I guess timed exclusives with Bethesda. Actually, Bethesda had two. But Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo are both Bethesda games that are going to be exclusive on the PS5 for a certain amount of time. That's kind of crazy.
I don't know how I feel about timed exclusives.
I don't know how I feel about it either, but Sony's making deals. They're
for
doing
sure.
some stuff.
I mean, it's great for anybody on this environment, but like overall, they're just kind of annoying.
Yeah. But Deathloop looks fucking awesome. I remember seeing Deathloop at the Bethesda conference last E3, and I was kind of like, on it. But the trailer they showed at this was fucking cool. Ghostwire Tokyo, I actually thought Ghostwire Tokyo looked cooler last E3 than at this presentation, but I'm still excited for it. Housemarque, which is a studio that has been doing pretty much only PlayStation games for a long time. Their big game, I guess they're not their big game, but the game they're most well known for is Resogun, which launched. It was a launch game for the PS4. It was a really good arcade shooter kind of thing, like almost like Galaga, but side scrolling, kind of like in a tube. But they have a new game called Returnal, which, like, if you think about what Housemarque did, what their graphics look like with Resogun, and you compare it to Returnal, it's pretty insane. So that's a PS4 or PS5 exclusive game. That's not going to come to Xbox at all, or probably PC. Some other games that I was excited about. Kena Bridge of Spirits looks really cool. It's very Ghibli-esque. Goodbye Volcano High looks pretty cool. It looks like it's like a cartoon dinosaur game. But the dinosaurs are in high school and they fucking probably.
Awesome. Yes.
It reminded me of, like, the vibes it gives off is very Life is Strange, the original Life is Strange.
Okay.
It grabbed my attention. There's a Demon Souls remake. Not remake, but a remaster. It's this I still don't understand. New Demon Souls, but it's not a remaster, but it's also not a remake. It's like halfway in between, I guess. Probably
just call it one.
Similar to like the Crash games, maybe, where they like put a whole new texture on it or something. I don't know. But Demon Souls is coming back.
Yeah.
Would have preferred a Bloodborne 2, but I'll take Demon Souls, I guess.
If I'm remembering right, Bloodborne Remaster 2 as well? Didn't they announce that, or is that another fever dream?
That's a fever dream. Bloodborne is coming to PC, but it's not.
Maybe that's what it.
I don't think it's a remaster. I think it's just a port. And then we have the biggest game of them all. A little game from Young Horses called Bugsnax. I fucking love Bugsnax. I have no idea what Bugsnax is about. I don't know what the gameplay of Bugsnax is. There's a little bit of you can see a little bit of it in the trailer, what looks like gameplay. Still have no idea what the fuck's going on. You eat a bug, you turn into the fruit that the bug's made out of, and I guess you just live your life.
Yeah.
Also, you have that song stuck in your head forever.
Yep.
I woke up like it was like 2 days ago, and Bugsnax was in my head. Like 2 weeks after this fucking announcement. Bugsnax. Talking about Bugsnax.
I love it when these. It's great whenever there's a really big surprise that like getting a Demon Souls remaster or whatever it is. Awesome. Getting something that's like super well established and like big news on that, like finding out about a new Zelda game is fantastic. Whenever you get a really big surprise out of a little, just like a little studio, you're like, oh my god, I will die for Bugsnax.
The reason why I think this presentation was so good, they showed me stuff I've wanted to see forever. They showed me a Ratchet and Clank sequel. They showed me more Spider-Man. They showed me Horizon 2. But because they framed it with those games like kind of spread throughout,
Yeah,
all of
breaking
these
it up.
smaller games were brought up. Normally,
Yeah.
like if again, I don't want to put words in Xbox's mouth. Maybe Xbox at their next thing is going to come out and blow us all away. I hope they do. If this was Microsoft's E3 conference from last year, Bug Snacks, Goodbye Volcano High, probably like Kina, they all would have been in a montage in the middle of the show where it's like, look at
Yes.
all these great indie games. Then it shows all of them. You get 5 seconds with all the games. They move on to the next one with a little title card at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But they gave these smaller games like Goodbye Volcano High, like Bug Snacks, the time of day. And all of a sudden, I'm excited about them. I'm excited about these smaller games. But if these were a little 5-second montage, I would never would have played them or given them a second thought.
I do wonder if we weren't in the current world state that we find ourselves, and they had made this into a physical conference as well, would they have given all these smaller games this amount of time? Because like you got to think they're not renting any physical space to like host their own convention right now. So like, who cares if they make their presentation 30 minutes longer? Like as long as it's not overstaying its welcome and people are getting bored, they're not paying space. Like they're not flying in tons of people and paying for hotels and paying for a convention center and paying meals and all this stuff. Like they're doing this from the office / home, I would think.
Yeah, I think that PlayStation made a point to do it this way. I mean, even before COVID was a thing, PlayStation said that they're not going to be at E3 this year. We're not going to be at major. We'll be at other events, but we're doing our own thing. We're not going to have a press event to announce the PlayStation 5. Like this, I really do feel like this whole announcement video was intended to be a video. They were never going to have a reveal event that was in person. I don't think.
Okay.
I think that they took notes from what Nintendo did with the Switch. Nintendo never did a conference for the Switch. Nintendo hasn't done a physical conference in like 5 years.
So smart. How much money do you think that saved them?
A lot. Marketing is expensive, and they don't have to do any of it. Without
Sakurai, just talk about ARMS from your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me look at all the retro systems that Sakurai has in his console.
The madman with 2 giant TVs just right next to each other.
Yeah. I really feel like this conference was intentionally built from the ground up to be what it was.
Yeah.
Not to say that they won't continue doing like little montages of indie games in the future, but this conference was made to show off games in a way that gave them all the time of day. And I think that was a great move because it elevated these smaller games. It didn't bring any of the other ones down. It only elevated the smaller ones.
And it didn't do what the Game Awards did at the very end, be like, hey, here's this game that looks like it should have come out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And here are 2 actors who are promoting it and maybe drunk.
Yep. Okay. Just
Good job.
A few other things we should talk about real quick.
Yes.
Want to wrap this one up a little quicker than normal, I think. Major announcement from Atlas at the PC gaming show. Persona 4 Golden is now on PC. You can buy it on Steam now.
Was that the first time Persona has legitimately made its way onto PC?
It is the first time that a mainline Persona game has been on any other console has been anywhere else other than a PlayStation console.
Okay. Because obviously, yes, people emulate and you can get almost anything on a PC at this point.
Yeah. Persona
But
4 Golden
legitimate means.
I really thought this was going to be more than just this. I'm really disappointed that it's not, but then I remembered that it's Atlas, and Atlas never gives me what I want it to. So I shouldn't have been surprised, but I really thought that if they were going to bring Persona 4 Golden to PC, we were going to get more than just that. I didn't think we were going to get like Persona 5 on PC or Persona 5 on anywhere else.
But maybe 3.
Either 3 or Persona 4 Golden is now available on at least PS4, maybe also Nintendo.
Sure.
But no, it's literally just Persona 4 Golden and only on PC.
Man, poor Nintendo fans.
Very weird. Very weird. I feel like it's such a weird announcement that they made.
Yeah,
Now,
a little
Persona
bit.
4 Golden is like it's not the best-selling Persona game, but it's definitely the most well-known one thanks to its Japanese audience. So
Isn't
making
that the one that like really started to break into the US and like
yeah, Persona 4 Golden is the game that
not just
largely
Japan?
Persona 4 Golden is really the game that I don't really even want to say that. Persona 4 Golden was the game that set up Persona 5 to be
Yeah.
successful. Persona 4 Golden was great.
It gave Persona 5 the ability to have an audience without
Exactly.
really working for it.
Yeah. So Persona 3 obviously existed on the PS2. Persona 3 Fez was on the PS2. Persona 3 Portable was on the PSP. Persona 4 was on the PS2. They brought Persona 4 Golden to the Vita. Even though the Vita audience was small, the rework that they did to Persona 4 to make it Golden was enough to make it like a 10 out of 10 kind of game, especially having it on the go in this little thing. And then the biggest factor, I really truly believe this, is that Vita fans are so fucking ride or die that like they just won't fucking shut up about Persona 4 Golden. So for
On a
the
scale
last
of 1 to K-pop.
just under K-pop. Got to give K-pop
Okay.
fans credit, especially after the last couple of weeks. But
So many hashtags.
for the last 8 years, Vita fans have been like, fucking play Persona 4 Golden. Get a Vita, play Persona 4 Golden. And that's all that Vita fans have talked about for the last 8 years. And that's what allowed Persona 5 to get an audience, because people knew the name Persona because their one fucking weirdo friend over there with the Vita was like, play this game. And so they had
one
the name
guy in the corner who
recognition.
just won't shut up.
Right. So it had name recognition, and that's what, aside from being a 10 out of 10 game, it had name recognition too.
It had the backing, yeah.
Thanks to the Vita stands.
It had the strangest form of marketing it could.
Yeah. But so now that Persona is a household name, or maybe not a household name, but way more recognizable than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Golden can do very well on another platform. I feel like Atlas didn't want to go full on, let's put on in everything. Probably because they didn't want to piss Sony off right away.
I'd imagine, yeah.
And I also think that maybe they were given the okay by Sony to do this because Sony is now putting its own games on PC.
True, yeah.
I don't want to go like hardcore tinfoil hat into this, but I really do feel like PlayStation heavily values the Persona series, at least the mainline series. Persona 5 Royal was in a montage at the beginning of the PS5 reveal event. I really think that Sony wants to try as hard as they can to keep that series on its platform, but because they are branching out onto PC themselves, they're like, okay, you can go do this if you want to.
They're trying to play nicer.
Yeah. So I don't foresee this ever coming to Xbox. Maybe not ever, but not anytime soon.
No.
Switch, maybe there's a little bit more there because there are a lot more Japanese players on Switch, so I think it makes more of a monetary sense to do that.
Oh, 100%, yeah, for the audience.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, and this is again something we've talked about, your standard gaming family, I guess, has an Xbox or a PlayStation and a Switch. The Switch is going to be universal. You're not Xbox and PlayStation aren't competing with the Switch at this point. If they put it on Xbox and they're pretty much fueling their competition, if they put it on Switch, who cares? That was never the competition in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see what I think that it's inevitable that P4 Golden is coming to PS4. I feel like it has to be inevitable at this point. Now that it's on.
Yeah, I kind of want to hold out. Like, I haven't played it, but I've got enough other things to play in the meantime And if they have it on PC now, there's really no reason why they can't just put it on
Yeah,
PlayStation.
and
And I'd rather have it there.
There's precedent for it too, thanks to Catherine, because Catherine came out on PC, I think in 2018 or maybe 2019. And then after they launched that, they announced the Catherine full bodied thing, which then made its way to other. I feel like it's like a springboard. I feel like Atlas ports something to PC probably because it's the easiest thing to do, and then they'll work on porting things from there.
They'll tinker it a little bit more so that it can live on the PlayStation.
Yep. So I would think that that's probably maybe not. I mean, it's not going to come in the next couple of months, but I do think that it'll come eventually.
Yeah.
One more quick thing. Two more quick things.
I was going to say, one of those things I really want to talk about.
So let's talk about Pokemon real quick because you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the thing that everybody hates first, which is this MOBA thing that was announced yesterday.
Yeah, Pokemon Unite, is that it?
I think so. Sounds right. Not doing anything for you?
No, not at all.
Me either.
It was so weird that they there was the internet is full of people with tinfoil hats because everywhere I looked after the big fun Pokemon Company Direct like a week and a half ago now.
Oh, they were talking about like the next gen, or they were talking about the remake of the Gen 5 is what they're on.
Well, no, maybe, but the thing that I kept on seeing everybody post was, hey, Nintendo hasn't retweeted or like shown any support for this like part 2 Pokemon Direct. So don't get your hopes up. I guess they were right.
Yeah.
But like just everywhere I looked, it was like, no, this is gonna be disappointing. Don't worry about it. And I saw Tencent get brought up everywhere. It was just really weird seeing the psyche of the internet in regards to Pokemon and the Pokemon Company.
Especially after how high it was a week ago.
Yeah.
With the unveiling of Pokemon New Pokemon Snap?
New Pokemon Snap.
New Pokemon Snap. What a name. My favorite thing, before we get to all the like the positive, I talked about this with you off air. I don't really have any nostalgia for Pokemon Snap other than like this really specific piece of nostalgia from Toys R Us. But
yeah,
somebody posted it was a tweet, I think, and it was like the breakdown of the graphic design for the Pokemon Go logo or the Pokemon Snap logo. It's just like it's like 18 different strokes, and it's a really funny tweet. I think I retweeted it. That's a great story, but graphic design. Look at the graphic design for the Pokemon
there's just
Snap logo.
All they did was they just said, "Hey, add more borders." How many? More.
Yeah, just add a ton of borders, add some more drop shadows. You got like 8 drop shadows, add like 5 more. That'll be good. There you go.
Hey, can you put a border on those drop shadows?
Graphic design is my passion, frog man.
But really, I mean, everybody's been wanting it.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought that we were actually going to get, like, it's become almost a joke at this point.
Right.
It's Half-Life 3. It's the game that we all desperately want, but know that our cries are falling on deaf ears.
Not anymore.
The original game when this was announced was the legal drinking age in the US. You could have a beer with that game if you wanted to. I don't know why you would. That'd be pretty weird. But wow. Talk about out of left field.
Yeah. So what did you think was going to come out of this direct before that?
I thought we would get the Let's Go Johto games. I thought we would get that, and the DLC for Sword and Shield's already out, right?
Yeah, the first DLC,
Crown Tundra or whatever.
No, the Isle of Armor, I think. Or
Okay.
is it opposite? I can't remember. I think Crown Tundra comes out later this year.
Okay.
I think Isle of
Do we
Armor
have
is
all the
now.
info on that?
I don't know.
I figured they'd touch on whatever hadn't come out yet, and then they would announce the new Gen 2 remakes in the style of Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. Other than that, I really didn't have any expectations. So this was nice.
Yeah.
This was refreshing.
So new Pokemon Snap. What does it have to do to make you happy?
I hate that the bars are slow, but it just has to come out.
Okay.
It just has to. Just this announcement was enough.
Just that, like, for Nintendo or the Pokemon Company to acknowledge that the property exists.
Yeah, just for them to be like, hey, this game that meant a lot to your childhoods that you've been begging for more of for 21 long years. We hear you. Thank you, Pokemon Company.
Is there anything that the Pokemon Snap, or is there anything that Pokemon Snap could do to, like, it could come out and just be like really mediocre, but like,
I'd like for it to be more involved and longer than the first one. The first one was a lot of fun, but there were like, I think 7 tracks essentially that you could choose. And there was like 1 secret per track to unlock the special secret track at the end. I'd like for them to like hide more Easter egg little things, like little I don't know, give more replayability and just make it not 7 tracks. Make more, please. Or like if you do only have 7 tracks, maybe give a little bit of not control to the player, but let's say you can do certain things that will determine, like let's say you have 1 track, but there are 5 different routes that you could potentially take depending on what you do throughout the level. Like you'll come to like a crossroads, and if you hit that Pikachu with an apple, the cart will turn away because it's trying to shock you. Whereas if you don't, it'll send you on the right path or whatever. Maybe something like that.
No release date.
No.
Just in progress.
Hey,
I would assume
it's
next
real.
year. Probably.
It's real.
That's all that matters. Okay. What time is it? Real quick, let's talk about EA Play 2020. Really the only thing I want to talk about with EA Play is that, one, EA didn't have a shit conference. It was actually good. Like, they didn't have that much new stuff to show, but like the way that they framed everything was great, I thought. I don't know if you saw any of it, but
they didn't have to apologize for anything.
They didn't have to apologize for anything. They were like really upfront about like what they want their philosophy to look like. They were very gamer friendly, and they were socially what's the right word? Like forward thinking. Like they in the context of everything that's happening in the world right now, they said everything right.
They were progressive.
Yes. The only thing I really want to talk about, though, and very briefly, is something that I feel like went under the radar. I didn't see like anybody report on this like in any significant way. But
it's been the like number one thing, the number one like wish list for all gamers everywhere, I think, for years.
Yeah. Since Xbox Live came out.
Yeah.
And that is crossplay is going to be a feature in all EA games that are multiplayer going forward, which is huge.
This has been it's been a war that's been fought like against game developers and the console, like the actual consoles themselves by gamers. And we got the victory, and it's like, oh, okay.
Right. And I guess maybe it wasn't that sexy because Fortnite's been doing it and Call of Duty's been doing it now for a year or 2. God, it's always been like 2 years since Fortnite started with this whole thing. But we have not had a company come out and say all of our games are going to be crossplay going forward. Call of Duty is, but not every Activision game is. I
No.
can't play Overwatch with you if I'm on PS4. You can't have Overwatch on Xbox and us play together. This is not like a standard thing still. And EA, I think, just made it a standard thing. Because if Battlefront and if Battlefield and if all of like FIFA and Madden and all of these huge multiplayer games are now crossplay, I'm pretty sure if you're Activision, you have to do that now with all of your games.
Yeah. You don't have a choice. You're kind of in like a stranglehold.
Yeah. And they had like a wheel that they showed, and it was PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, mobile, I think was on there, or maybe not, and then PC. So it's everyone.
It's everything.
Yeah. If an EA
Except
game,
for Stadia.
Except for Stadia. If EA,
Well, maybe that's PC. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Stadia dead.
No, I still see commercials for Stadia on Twitch sometimes. I'm like, how?
Oh my god.
Who's buying this?
Why are you wasting the money?
I don't know. But yeah, I feel like that was criminally underreported on just everything.
If I hadn't seen your tweets about, because I didn't really tune into EA Play Live, if I hadn't seen you tweeting about it, would not have, it just would have gone completely under my radar.
Yeah. I really don't get it. Like, everyone's just like, I mean, I get there are other important things going on in the world, but like,
oh, for sure.
Of all the, because I saw a lot of reaction tweets about the EA conference about how there were people pissed that they didn't have it for any, like, they didn't have a bunch of new stuff, which is like, just whatever. They're EA. They have a new Madden. They have a new FIFA. They have a new iterations of games.
I mean, the world took a couple minutes and freaked out about Pokemon Snap.
Right. But you're not gonna forget about crossplay? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I guess it is that whole, like, we've just continuously gotten small victories of single games being crossplay enabled for like the last year and a half, 2 years. So now I don't know. This doesn't feel like
as big of a victory.
We didn't fight and have one big victory. We've had a bunch of small, like, we've kept on winning small battles, and now there's been a major victory, but like it's dulled, I guess.
This is like VE Day. We just had VE Day, guys. VJ Day's coming soon. We just gotta keep pushing. We're almost there. This is a big day. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Nah, I just need a haircut.
I'm kind of glad that we didn't do this podcast before this. I guess I would have done this anyway, but I had not shaved my head from before COVID until like literally on Sunday. My hair was the longest it's been since like 2008, maybe.
I'm tempted to keep growing and see what I can do with mine.
Good.
But it is getting a little annoying.
Nice big like Aquaman locks, kind of.
Maybe. Try out the man bun if I so choose.
Yeah, why not?
Get a little ponytail. We'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. If you like what you heard, you can find us live on twitch.tv/CDRMagnus every Tuesday, usually at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For the next little bit, we'll be kind of flexible with that. And the next little bit might turn into like who knows what the fuck based on like what society looks like.
Yeah.
Because we were planning, my company, or whatever you want to call it, was planning on going back to work on July 13th, and that's still like the date. It's going to be a phased go back though, where like we're in the office. I'm in the office 3 days one week, 2 days the next week, kind of thing.
Okay.
That was planned to start July 13th, but like California had 7,000 new cases of coronavirus today.
Yeah, we're hitting the second wave. I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening either. We'll see, I guess, how this all plays out, but we might, who knows? Right now we're doing it at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays because we have the ability to. And actually today is Thursday, but I don't know if you've been watching the video podcast, but I fucked up my hands on Monday. So I was in pain and didn't want to do it. So Here we are. So you can get us live on twitch.tv/CDRMagnus or on podcast services around the globe and YouTube. This is going to be on YouTube. from now on.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Do you know how infuriating it is to see all those charts of every other country going down,
but we're
and
going
us not?
That pisses me off.
But we never really went down if you look at the grand scale.
Also, like all the articles about how the EU and Canada are like, you're not traveling here.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're from the US? No, banned.
Whose fault is that? I'll tell you whose fault it is, and everyone knows whose fault it is. It's one man, and he had a rally for 1 million people, and only 5,000 people showed up. That's who it is.
K-pop and TikTok users, they united.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at CDR Magnus. You can find John on Twitter at John Kamenko, and you can find us both on a new platform, a website that I made last week. It is QuickTimeEvent.net. Go to QuickTimeEvent.net. You can find some articles that I've written about the PS5 reveal event, the EA Play event. All of our podcasts are going to be posted there, and more. So QuickTimeEvent.net is where you can find all of our stuff. And I think that's about it.
That is all.
All right. Well, thank you for hanging out. We'll see you all next time. Have a good weekend.
Good night.